chat?
Thanks for remembering.
Yeah, I'll tell it in a few moments, but you know, you might want to
We're getting acclimated.
yeah, chit chat. And we got Ganesh who showed up from Pune.
Ganesh, you did a beautiful job hosting today.
Oh,
Yeah.
I threw him in the deep
Ganesh.
end. He did it all
Jai
himself.
Baba. Good morning. Good evening to everybody.
Yeah.
Good morning to you.
And good morning to you. Yeah.
Such a wonderful time with Pratap. You did
Oh,
such a good job. Wow.
lovely.
Oh, by the way, Dinku shares the same birthday as Kitty.
Ah,
Oh,
I got-
happy birthday,
to
Happy
you.
birthday.
It's still
Thank
your
you.
birthday. Here,
Thank
it's
you.
still your birthday.
I got
Sorry?
some, maybe later on I have something I can read,
Oh,
a birthday message.
Here, it's still your birthday, so you get 36 hours of birthday when you're in the online world.
Wow.
we have to sing then. Happy birthday. Happy
Thank
birthday
you, everybody.
to
To
you.
you.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to
you.
Happy
birthday,
dear
Dinku.
Dinku.
Happy
Happy
birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Baba,
Hey,
for
Baba.
bringing me into this lovely group.
Like Adrian said.
Wow, we did pretty well with timing.
Considering, right? We have internet lag across the whole world, and we just sang happy birthday to Jeff has gone to fetch something. What is he gone to do?
What are you singing, Lenita? Something for us?
We haven't heard you sing in ages, Lenita.
Ayam, you look very nice.
I came back from my walk.
You look very nice in that hat of yours.
Very cute.
I look like a cowgirl. I am the girl from the West.
Yeah, right.
The Iranian from Shiraz.
That's it. No offense.
Oh, that carries much more weight.
Yeah, right. Never mind. Sorry.
Shiraz, really? Is your family from Shiraz?
Yes.
Really? Oh, wow.
Ah.
Wow.
Mm.
Jai Baba, everyone. It's Roxy.
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 I just finished my dishes.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I couldn't touch any of the reactions. I was like, oh, I have to take this glove off and give everybody a reaction.
Wasn't it amazing tonight? Amazing.
Oh my God, it was amazing. Everybody was so good, and I was enjoying it. If you have a few minutes, I want to share something really funny.
Yeah.
Quickly. So when I was in India, I totally was on a break because it was right after my husband's heart attack, and I was just needed to break. So when they said, do you want to volunteer? I said, sure, as long as it doesn't have anything to do with cleaning. And they all laughed, and they gave me some really cool jobs. And then, and then when I came back, I promised Baba I'm going to do all my home chores with a lot of smile and everything else. And since COVID, I mean, it's been 6 months, and it's like, you've heard of Les Miserables. I feel like Cosette, really. And I was like, I'm sitting there doing all these dishes and all of that. And then what was funny is that every time I complained about this, like to Baba, I complained, I fell on my butt so bad. It wasn't even funny. And, and the other day, I was complaining, thinking bad thoughts again. And I cut my hand so bad.
No.
So I'm not saying Baba's doing it. I think it's my own unconscious telling me, stop nagging, and you promised you're going to do this with a smile, so do it. So that's why I only do dishes when I'm listening to you guys, because then I can smile and be cheerful. That's my story.
That's
Thank you.
sweet. That's so sweet.
Yep, it's crazy,
Songs
but
to
it's
just by.
you gotta do work with share. That's what he wants. Jay Baba, everyone. Talk to you later.
Jay
Yeah.
Baba.
Oh, I want to hear Jeff's story. I love that.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, can hear you.
So, let me just mention that because the Mandalay had Baba in them, you might say, so fully, things that would happen from them, just casual remarks or even, serious remarks would have kind of like universal implications. And, even what Marion was saying, just Kitty may not have known the impact what she said had on Marion in her life. They were just things that happened. So anyway, back in the mid 70s, maybe toward the end of the latter 70s, this guy shows up in town, young guy, redheaded guy, very enthusiastic and creative and all of that. Tim Busfield. You probably know, many of you probably know him because he went on to become quite well known. But back then, we were roommates, and we put on a couple of plays and skits at the center. They were kind of goofy and all that. And one day he comes home from work. He had gone to see Kitty. He said, "Jeff, I got to leave town." And I said, "What happened?" He says, "Well, I went into Kitty's office, and she says, 'Oh, you're the one that's destined to become an actor. Now you go, leave town, go get your training and everything, and you're going to have a very successful career.'" And she gave him a number of predictions about his life. So he comes home and he's thinking, "Oh my God, I gotta leave." So anyway, it turns out he goes to Nashville. He gets to a couple years of training. He goes to LA and they snap him right up. This is like Tim Busfield, and he got acting roles, which he had for years and years. And so now he would just come to Myrtle Beach once a year. And on one of his times he came to Myrtle Beach, he's told Kitty, we all tried to find excuses to go in to see Kitty in her office. And he went in and he told her that he was going to be in a movie that was going to be shot in Jerusalem. And Kitty says, "Oh, yes. Now you must, while you're there, you must contact Carrie Ben Shammai." And Carrie Ben Shammai was one of the only Baba lover that came to see Baba here in, I know, 56 and 58 and 62. I don't know if she came in 52, but she had been the wife of either a famous rabbi or either her father was a famous rabbi, but she was a Baba lover. I mean, she was kind of quite outspoken. So she was kind of, thought to be a little bit strange and became what can I say? She was ostracized. But anyway, that was, from the 50s. Now this is like to say probably around 1980. So he gets to Jerusalem and he, is kind of doing his film stuff. And then he's got this address to see Carrie Ben Shammai to kind of carry out what Kitty had said. And so he gives the address to a cab driver, and a cab driver said, I don't want to go there. That's, indicating that's a bad part of town. So he gets the phone number and he calls, and the person on the phone is very gruff. You don't want to talk to her and everything. And so one day goes by, I think it's the next day, he calls again, I need to see her. And they very reluctantly give him the address. So he goes out to get a cab driver to take him to this address. So the cab driver is very reluctant to take him to this part of town. but they do. He finally gets to, and they come to, I think, like a boarding house, really run down and kind of little creepy looking, even from Tim Busfield's viewpoint, and he's pretty fearless and everything. He was an athlete and everything too. And he says, well, just wait here, tells the cab driver, just wait here and I'm going to go in, I'll be right back. Cab driver says, no, man, give me my money, I'm getting out of here. And he takes off. So he comes to this place. It's a boarding house, and he knocks on the door and says he wants to see Carrie Ben Shammai. Person is very reluctant to let him in, but he just keeps pushing and finally says, okay, here's the key, and she lives down the hall there in such and such a room. So he starts down this hallway, and it's a little bit scary, and but anyway, he goes there and he knocks on the door, no answer, he knocks on the door. Finally, he uses the key, opens the door. So one room, and there's a lady standing in front of a window with her back to the room. Doesn't respond at all, and he kind of clears his throat and says, hello, hello. She turns around and scowls at him. And he says, I've come from Kitty Davy, and she sends you her love. She instantly falls at his feet and says, I was just thinking that Baba had left me, and I had just asked him for a sign. And all the way, who would have known, all the way from Myrtle Beach, all the timing of this, I just asked Baba for a sign, and he comes in at that moment. So that's, those are some of the many things that happened around Kitty. Just spontaneously, very often she wouldn't have even known. So that's one of the stories of Kitty. We able to hear that all right? Or is
Beautiful.
everybody muted?
Yeah, we're muted, honey.
We're emotional, Jeff. That was very beautiful.
Beautiful
Oh.
story.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you,
We're
Jeff.
trying to
Thank you.
wipe our tears.
Yeah.
Baba's timing, unbelievable.
Yeah. What a lady.
Are you a book or a problem?
Yeah, she had so many people lining up at her door that just to kind of cut to the quick, she eliminated all formalities. Are you a book or a problem? Meaning, are you coming here to get a book, or are you coming here with your problems? Or sometimes both.
It was often both, yeah.
Jeff, did McCall know her?
McCall,
Yeah,
you mean from Israel?
yeah. I know she knew Etzion, and Etzion knew Carrie, but I don't know.
Oh, whether McCall knew Carrie
Knew
Benjamin.
Carrie and had pers.
That I don't know, but
Yeah.
Etzion was
Yeah.
one of the first younger Baba people who contacted Carrie Ben Shammai in Israel. Yeah. He was on the other night on the same
Yes.
session. Etzion showed up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Carrie had a rough time then. Being the only
Yeah.
one, I guess that would be rough.
What's that?
Being the only Baba lover.
Oh, yeah.
Does Etzion play the flute?
He may, I don't know. I can't
I
remember.
think Mikhail asked me the other morning to ask him to play, if he would play flute. But then by the time I got back, he was gone, so I
Yes,
couldn't.
he does play flute, but he'll
There
have
you
to,
go.
Yeah.
He'll have
good.
to find the enable original settings.
The voice from the cloud has
Voice
arrived.
behind Baba.
Yeah. Let's see. Hey, Bobby Bernstein, do you have any Kitty stories that that come to mind?
Yeah, actually, let's see, where would I begin? But I used to love to go in and talk to her, like at the end of my stay. I'd stay at the center and go through some, ego stuff and, things to work through. And then I'd try to see her like towards the end of my stay. I'd go in there, it was like the sunshine, to see her. And I loved being in her company. But there was one, I ended up, I'll just shorten it, but I ended up helping Lois Breger when she was starting the library, Saroja Library. And so I worked with her to help out just for a couple weeks. And so a year or two later, I was getting ready to leave where I was living in Albany and go down closer to where my mom was living. And I was trying to getting a library job. And Kitty said to me, well, I went to see her and she said, oh, why don't you work with Lois? And I thought, oh, what do you mean? She works at Finkelstein Library. That was the last place I wanted to work. I was kind of running away from my Jewish roots. And I wasn't attracted to that library. So I went all over Westchester County looking for a job, and nothing worked out. So I finally said, all right, okay, I'm going to go check out Finkelstein Memorial Library. So I walk in there and it's like the sun shone. It's like Kitty was totally correct. It was a perfect place for me, and they loved me and I loved them. And I worked there for 11 years. But it's so funny how she just said, oh, work at Lois's library, But she was very, very right.
Intuitive.
Intuitive, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the whimsical things about Kitty. I mean, just this is to kind of give you a flavor of Kitty. At one point, Baba's niece, Shireen Irani, was going to come. She was just 16 years old, and she was coming to Myrtle Beach for the first time. And Kitty knew that she had heard that she had a phobia, a horrible fear of snakes. So before she came, she was going to come in about a month. But during that whole month, Kitty would say, oh, now just remember now, Shireen, she's very terrified of snakes. Now, don't mention snakes. Even if there's some snakes on there, don't say anything. Don't, And, she's just, I mean, every time I'd see her, she'd rattle this stuff off, Oh, don't mention it. I mean, I know we have snakes on there, but, and they're sometimes seen, but don't mention it. So this goes on with all of the staff. She's kind of given us this line. Finally, Shireen arrives, and Kitty has prepared a tea for her at Dilruba. So Shireen arrives at Dilruba at the door, and Kitty is there. And she welcomes her in and says, oh, would you like a cup of snakes? I mean, she was so obsessed with it that it came out of her.
Cup of snakes.
A cup of snakes. But that's kind of, I mean, things like that happened around Kitty.
Well, didn't Baba do something with her with a hose because she was afraid of snakes? I remember a story.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they had set up this whole thing, and it was all hush hush, and Baba was hiding, and they were all hiding, and then they wiggled this hose, and Kitty went, oh, Baba, 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 and Baba's back there trying to hold back the laughter.
Yeah. No, that's not entirely it, but what happened is that either I think Mani and Mara, they made a snake out of dough. And they rolled it and they painted it and everything. No. And they put it over by the water, the watering spigot, and so Baba and the women Mandalay were all, I think, up in a balcony waiting for this. They had to wait a long time. Kitty was rummaging around doing cooking at this other building. Finally, she came out and she saw this thing and she took a stick and started banging the thing. And, just banging it. And the thing was just falling apart, And they were just laughing, laughing to see Kitty at that. But Kitty said, afterwards, she said, that was very strange. It just broke up into pieces. Didn't have any integrity. It just, but Kitty after that never had a fear of snakes. And she was destined, as it turned out, to come here and be one of the directors.
And live amongst them.
Amongst snakes.
Yeah, a place where they're
Live amongst them and have cups of them for tea.
But there, she's just sitting there and they're just banging away at that snake. And it breaks up into 1,000 pieces. The snake, it never would happen with a snake, a real snake.
Well, thank you, everyone. Jay Baba, and good night. That was
Yeah,
lovely
see you, Roxy.
story.
Yeah.
Music. Take care. Jeff, do you
Hey,
speak
Baba.
Farsi,
Hey, Bob,
or you
everybody.
read?
What's that?
Do you read and write Farsi as well, or you just know Masnavi by?
Oh, no, I don't know Farsi at all.
Oh, you don't.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, you sound like you're someone you would.
yeah, no, I learned
Thank
a little
you.
German in high school, yeah.
Very good. Jay Baba, everyone.
Jay
Thank
Baba,
you for
everyone.
everything. Bye bye.
Jay Baba Bobby.
Kitty was kind of guilty of, or not guilty, I mean, she had what they call malaprops. You get the wrong word for something.
Oh, yeah.
And, but anyway, someone else may have some other stories, so I'll save it for later. Uh-oh, nobody has anything to say. Okay, I'll tell this. This was another occasion where a very distinguished couple was coming to the center from England. Sir Thomas and Lady Dorothy Hopkinson. They were actually Baba lovers, but he was knighted by the Queen. He was a famous journalist in England. So they were coming. And Kitty was, all excited about this and nervous about this. And so they finally arrive, and Kitty's at the front door of Dilruba. But at that very moment, there is a older lady named Edith Bradbury. She's about 82 or something. She is being kind of escorted out of Dilruba to a car in the parking lot. And as they go, Kitty says, "Oh, that's Edith Bradbury. She suffers from gonorrhea." And Charles kind of, nudges her. "No, I'm sure. I saw on a television program last night, gonorrhea." And right in front of this distinguished couple. And 82 years old, I mean, it's not like, but she meant, what was it she meant? What's the eye disease?
Diarrhea.
Glaucoma.
Glaucoma. She got glaucoma and gonorrhea mixed up. Oh my God. She was always doing things like that. There was a time when Ella Winterfeld was almost on her deathbed, and I kind of helped look after Ella Winterfeld, and I was out on the center, and Kitty came over to Pine Lodge, one of the buildings on the center, and she sees Ella. Oh, she's close to dying. Quick, get Jeff on the Weight Watcher. Instead of on the walkie-talkie, she calls it a Weight Watcher. and in such a solemn moment, get Jeff on the Weight Watcher. You got to get him here.
Oh my God.
She was a trip. Anyway.
Maybe Weight Watchers got their names from that.
Yeah.
Then there was another one where she would be talking to people on the phone as they were coming into the center or getting ready to come. People would call to make reservations. So she had somebody on the phone for reservation, is what I heard. And that she was saying, oh, yes, yes. And don't forget now, you must bring a light, bring a flashlight. Papa said, always carry a light. And bring covered shoes so that you can walk on the snakes. And then Kitty never said goodbye on a phone. She never said goodbye.
Yeah.
It would just be, and bring covered shoes to walk on the snakes, and click. The other person's like, I don't know if I want to go, you know. No, they probably were. Anyway, but that was always the fun thing with Kitty, was that you'd be on the phone and you'd be talking and she'd be talking, and then all of a sudden, click.
Yeah.
She was done, you know. I loved it.
A delight.
Yes.
Real delight. It's funny. You just, Baba left them in the rough. He didn't, you know, let them be just themselves. It was just beautiful. Hey, so Cliff, what's happening over there?
At the boathouse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Cliff.
Oh, they're probably eating dinner.
How you doing there, Jeffy?
Yeah, I was wondering how you doing there.
Good, doing well. Had a rough day of swimming in the ocean, you know, very rough.
Any flashes from the infinite?
I'll tell you, I really enjoyed listening to these stories. I never met Kitty, and after reading Kathy Riley's book and
Oh yeah,
hearing you, and throughout the years, I've heard so many stories how she would mix up the word. My mother was a little bit like that. She would, whatever the key word was, she would mispronounce it, or not quite to the extent of what Kitty would do. But anyway, very cute. Yeah. How's everything on center, Jeff?
Yeah, it's waiting for everybody to come, and hopefully by the end of September, it might possibly be open for walkabouts.
That would be great.
Yeah. After the Labor Day and then the aftermath of Labor Day, whatever the coronavirus stirs up during a holiday, after that's kind of run its course, they're going to have a meeting to see.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Mayor Prasad has shown up from Seattle. We were here till 1:15 last night. Oh my God. I keep getting very few hours of sleep.
Oh, we miss being at the center, Jeff.
What's that?
We miss being at the center.
Oh, I know. It means the world. I mean, the atmosphere is so renewing. Yeah. You know that the the metaphor Baba gave for for his places like Marizad, Marabad, the center, or Avatar's abode. He gave this figure, which is kind of graphic. When someone commits a crime, they bring in these bloodhounds and to the crime site of the crime, and they give them something like any kind of material from the crime scene, and then the dogs take off in search of the fugitive. Uh-oh, just a second. I got a call coming in here. Mayor Senator, this is Jeff. Yeah. Okay, just wait 1 second here. Hey, hey, why don't you give me, call me back as I'm on a Zoom session, okay? Oh, call me back in 15. Okay? Yeah. I don't know if I'm unmuted or what.
You turned off the video, but we could hear you, Jeff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can't figure out. I mean, I'm just turning everything off. So anyway, so
It's
Baba
so
says,
cute.
so the bloodhounds go out, and when they get way out far away and they lose the scent of the fugitive, they're brought back to the scene of the crime again. And so these places like the center or Marabad or Marazad, when we lose the fragrance or the scent of Baba, we're brought back to the scene of the crime. That was Baba's figure that he gave, a metaphor he gave. So,
Jeff,
yeah.
somewhere I had read about Kitty that she never
Oh,
liked people.
hey, just a second. I got another call. This is ridiculous.
Jeff, we can answer the phones.
Yeah. May I send with this, Jeff? Yeah.
Oh, darn. We can't eavesdrop now? He got smart.
You mean the powdery kind of thing in your lungs? You might want to check in with a doctor on that. No, I would see a doctor and check that out if you have any. I would do. I don't know enough about that myself. Yeah, but I've got some people here that I gotta get back to. But okay, yeah. Bye bye.
We heard the conversation, Jeff.
So somebody's calling you for medicinal help too, huh?
If you're muted.
Now you're muted.
Yeah, what were you saying, Ganesh?
Yeah. Somewhere I read about Kitty that she never liked people casually saying Jai Baba, just like an hello. So she was very particular to like she never casually said, or she would say it with utmost attention only a few times when really it meant. She never, that's somewhere I read, like she never casually said, kept saying Jai Baba, or she didn't like people casually Jai Baba instead just as her hello. So she wanted that to be said with full attention. Is that right?
I would say, I mean, she never kind of insisted on someone not saying anything, but she herself didn't, I don't remember her saying Jai Baba in all the years. But see, the thing is, they were here in the 50s, in this, this is the Bible Belt. Both she and Elizabeth were very reluctant to mention Baba at all in this community. And they didn't wear Baba buttons. They were like a little surprised. We would just kind of go gallantly out into the Myrtle Beach with our big Baba buttons. And I remember I had a big one time, and Elizabeth kind of said, "Do you really, that's kind of a big Baba button to be wearing out there." In other words, they had years with Baba where Baba's name wasn't mentioned when they were traveling, so as not to attract attention to Baba. So they came came out of that milieu. So I don't remember Elizabeth ever saying Jai Baba or Kitty saying Jai Baba.
You know, it said a beautiful story on Jai Baba once.
Yeah.
He was saying, if you say Jai Baba with no heart in it, it has no meaning. If you say it with your heart in it, it has, you know, it brings the Lord to you. And he was saying this story on that. It's a very short story.
Yeah, go ahead.
There was this person called Peter. This is a true story apparently. But there was this person called Peter who was kind of a, you know, he was a guy and he was like, you know, torn clothes and nobody cared for him. He was kind of like a wasted guy, you know, like a guy who really didn't do, you know, didn't care for the church. People thought he was just a useless fellow. So every day he would go to work. Nobody talked with him because of the way that he was. So every day he would go to work, and on the way there was a church. While he was passing the church, you know, he would never enter the church. He would just stand outside the church. He would take off his hat and say, "Lord, this is Peter." He would put back his hat. So one day, you know, he became sick and he was basically dying, and you know, he was on the hospital bed. Nobody was really with him, and the story goes that towards the end of his life, the last thing that he saw was Jesus come to him and say, "Peter, this is Jesus."
Yeah, beautiful. I remember that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Lovely. Yeah, someone asked, you know, is there a way of following Baba? They asked that one fellow today with Pratap, you know, is there some kind of sadhana, some practice and all of that? And it's amazing with Baba, you know, there are some guidelines, but there's no kind of practice. It's very individual, which is beautiful. Adi used to give the example, like if you fall in love with somebody and especially initially at the early times, and if you know, and so you go to work and everything, but you're thinking of this woman that you're in love with. Do you have to sit in a like a lotus posture? You know, do you have to sit in any particular way or do any practice? You are so obsessed with thinking about her that the meditation is completely natural. That's kind of how it can be with Baba. It doesn't have to be any set meditation, even though Ganesh can do all of those hatha yoga contortions.
No,
But
no,
we don't actually have to do it, you know, but he has to because somehow.
So he has a name.
He wraps his
Okay.
trunk, you know, his elephant's trunk around in various ways with his legs, and that's how he thinks of Baba.
Yeah, but today, Jeff, I was really touched by, you know, the attention Baba paid to Pratap when he felt uninvited to a particular meeting, and then, you know, Baba remembers him.
Yeah.
You know, with all his work that Baba does universally, and to take a moment to remember him is a blessing. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, his own buddy, Digambar, forgot him. Yeah.
Jack, the Mandali used to share so many stories, and there were some stories that they only shared with like close Baba lovers or something very close ones and not really to everybody. Did any such story like Erich or anybody share with you, Erich Kaka or anybody share with you? Something they were not, they were not casually shared, but they were shared very intimately and all that. Anything they shared such a story with you?
Yeah, there were a number of them. You know, Erich would, when Baba dropped his body, Erich stayed up for 3 straight days at the, in 1969. And so from the years following that, he would stay up for 3 straight days with no sleep. And along about the 3rd night, he would get almost kind of drunk. I mean, so woozy. And he would come out with things that weren't for public consumption. And, things about Baba and everything. It was much stricter than than they told us. But that made a powerful impact on me, but those are not for public consumption. It was much stricter than I realized from reading the Baba literature and then even hearing them in Mandalay Hall.
Jeff, we can edit it out of the video if you'd like.
Yeah, no, 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 it's not appropriate. But let's see. I can't remember. Bao used to have a number of stories that were censored that he would every once in a while tell. And I can't remember one of them right now. If it comes to me, I will.
You mean to tell us, Jeff, that you're going to take this with you to the other world and just not share? That is not right, brother.
No, some things could be hurtful. That's what I.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard once in Med Center, and Ledinsky speaking about something. I mean, again, my memory is so weak, I can't remember every detail. But there were some moments when Dan and Erich used to take a walk in the morning, and Erich would talk about various things, this and that. And one of the things I recall having heard from Dan is that Erich mentions that he says that he feels that he is born every moment. Do you have any such thing that you heard?
Well, here's one. I mean, I've shared this before. One day, Dan Ledinsky.
Dinku?
Dan,
could you please mute yourself, Dinku? Thank you.
But we want to be able to see you, though. Yeah, there you are again. So you've most of you have heard this before, but Erich said, I mean, Dan said to Erich, you Mandalay, you take a nip now and then. And Erich said, what do you mean, Danny? He said, you take a shot of his bliss. And Erich said, what makes you say that? He says, sometimes I can see that in the eyes of the Mandalay. And Erich very seriously says, Danny, we are the chalices that hold the beloved's wine. Others may come and help themselves, but for us, we never take a drop.
Jeff, I've heard you say that before, and at other times you've also said once, Erich said that I'm doing everything I can to keep myself from falling on the floor and rolling in bliss.
Yeah, that was on a different occasion. Danny said, something that you make incredible efforts, because Danny was seeing this, to be normal and be with us, kind of so casually. And Eric said, if I didn't make these efforts with all my strength, I would be on the ground in the dust, rolling in ecstasy.
Oh my God. I mean, so they had experience of the extreme opposites.
Yeah, they didn't take a drop of that bliss or anything for themselves. They
But
offered their body, mind, and soul in the service of Baba.
they chose that because they had that option. It sounds like they exercised the option not to take it.
Yeah, I mean, Aries said, I exercised my free will to become his slave.
Mm.
So they didn't. Gary Kleiner once said to Erich, you know, Erich, I mean, there was something. You followed Baba all these years. You stayed with him. There was something that, you know, you would. There was some reason, you know. There was something you hoped to get, you know, something to staying there and doing all of this for Baba. And Erich said, Gary, we left that behind long ago.
Mm.
The idea of getting anything. We left that behind long ago. And I mean, I've told you, I don't know if I told it last night, I can't remember, but where Pleater, yeah, did I mention Pleater yesterday?
I think so.
So yes.
Who came to Baba in the 20s for God realization?
Yeah, of course.
Huh? Yeah.
Yes, you mentioned him. Yes.
Yeah. So I mentioned that yesterday. Same type of theme. Yeah.
There was something which I thought I can share, but I really didn't know what he meant. But once my brother, my younger brother, who had Baba's darshan twice when he was small, and he, myself, and one other gentleman, we three went to Bhavji at the trust office just to record a message for Amar Tithi. So my brother is recording, and then he felt he should ask him a question. So he asked him, I mean, do you have any message for this Amar Tithi? So Bhav gave a message, and the whole thing was over, and then we were about to go, and then Bhav looks at all three of us. I don't know who he looked at specifically, but then he said, no more mistakes. I'll have to come back for you. That's what he said. I wish I broached on the subject more and asked him more pointedly as to what he meant.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I didn't have common sense to ask him. But those are the words, I have to come back for you, which really struck me. And when he said that, it looked like he was looking at me all the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, make a few mistakes so he will be back. We need him.
No, I've made several, man. I don't have to make any more, but so, well, at least I feel good that I'll be there with somebody who was with Baba for a long time. So if I have to come back, which I will, I'm sure.
You know, you might find this interesting. There was a woman who came a few times to the center. She was probably in her 60s at the time. Her name was Anita Putalik. She was from Michigan, I think. And this is not recorded anywhere because I know she's passed on and she left nothing. But she related this. We were in the refectory. And she'd heard of Baba in New York with the Monday night group, and she was devoted to Jesus, but somehow she had some friends or some connections with the Monday night group, Baba group, and Then she moved to back to Michigan. She was married, and uh, the Monday night group contacted her to say that Mary Baba was coming to New York. Would she like to meet him? So she got permission from her husband to go back to New York to meet Baba. I think this took place in Ivy Deuce's apartment. But she got there, and Audie was in the inner room, one of the suite of rooms with with Baba. And Baba, to begin the interviews of that day, he made a gesture. He made a gesture like this over over his stomach. So he thought to ask that person to come in. So he went out there to see. He thought, maybe somebody was overweight. And, looked around and came back, no one seemed to answer that description. But Baba did it again, and Adi realized that to ask if there was some woman who was pregnant. And she was. So she was the first one to have the interview with Baba on this day in 1956. So she went in, and she was very worried that there was going to be some complications with the birth of this child. But Baba assured her that there was not going to be any problems. And he assured her so clearly that she never worried about that after that, even though she was worried the whole time during the pregnancy. And then she told him that she was devoted to Jesus, and told him, and Baba listened to her. And Baba said, "But you have made one big mistake." These are the lines that I wrote down. "But you've made one big mistake in your spiritual life." And this is the first time she's meeting Baba. "You made one mistake in your spiritual life. You've put God in heaven. And until you find him in everyone you meet, your religion will always be lopsided."
That was intense.
And this woman was like Kitty. When you were with her, it was just you and her alone in the universe. She was so pointed. That became the theme of her life. Even though she was with some religious order and as a counselor. And she started coming in the latter part of her life, but to the center. But that became the theme, and you felt seen by her. She was able, like Kitty or any of the Mandalay, to look away from themselves and see you as you experience yourself. So.
Was that the only time she met Baba?
I think so. I think that was the one time that she met Baba.
Mm-hmm.
"You have made one big mistake in your spiritual life. You've put God in heaven. And until you find him in everyone you meet, your religion will always be lopsided." Yeah. Hey, so how's Janet Jacobs doing? How's Colorado doing?
We're hanging in there, Jeff. Yeah, it's getting a little better. The fires are getting better. We can actually breathe outdoors now without thinking we're smoking cigarettes. And so that's a good sign. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for asking. But I love that story you just told. And last night you said something about when you were walking back from the tomb and going through the field. So I was imagining that it was up at the pilgrim retreat. But anyway, you said that Baba said to you something about loving, unless you love everything you're seeing, you're closing your heart in some way. Am I remembering correctly?
Yeah, what Baba said is, don't look at anything in this world unless you're prepared to send it love.
Okay.
That was, but it's basically what you said. But that's how if he flashed it to me. I mean, I get these flashes and I can translate it into English. I know exactly what he means.
Yeah.
Don't look at anything in this world unless you're prepared to send it love.
That dovetails, piggybacks a little bit on what you just said about this woman from Michigan, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To me, it does. Yeah, unless see God in every person you meet. I mean, what you heard was a little more, for me, it was a little broader than just person. It was everything you see.
Yeah. I mean, I think, Baba, one of the things he was catching me on is I would see all the garbage on the side of the road in Ahmednagar, and I think, oh my God, that looks awful. You know, I mean, why don't they just, you know, I mean, I would cast a critical thought like, this is just leaving the trash. You know, no one picks it up or does anything with it. I mean, though, and basically Bob was saying, you're just wasting your time. You had a chance to love and you just went into a critical state. Don't waste all the precious time I give you being critical of the world around you.
And I was thinking about it after I left the call, Jeff, and I was thinking about that even in terms of, say, current political climate.
Yeah.
And I realized the challenge there of just basically staying outside of the fray.
Yeah. I mean, if you can send love into that mess,
Mm-hmm.
if you happen to look in that direction, I can't help it. I do follow the news.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I don't keep my head in the sand completely. So,
Yeah.
but I try not to anyway, I try to have a certain distance from the fray.
Yeah. Only love is going to help the situation. Baba said, this is very telling. Baba said, if my lovers would cultivate thoughts of world peace, it could be brought about.
Oh my God. We're not doing a very good job.
Yeah. But what I mean is that, and these are just thoughts. This is not like being an activist or getting on the streets and protesting. But because it came from Baba, it has that power.
And not just world peace, but I mean our inner peace will reflect outward, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
We have to start from within ourselves.
Yeah.
I remember that question, Jeff. I think, I don't know who, but some English journalist asked Baba, how can we prevent another war? So Baba says, by thinking that there will be no war. And that's how powerful it is.
Yeah. It's, yeah. I mean, because our thoughts are linked up with Baba, they have more potency than, just ordinary thoughts just flying by. They have a little more impact if they're devoted, if they're connected to Baba. Ganesh is just worried about lunch today.
So Jeff, there is this one story of Erich, whereas in his early college days, he learns from some mission or something that he attends a talk by some Swami, and then what he learns is that if you feel oneness with everything, then you won't have any enemy and you won't have anybody troubling you because you would be one with everything. And you can feel oneness with everything. So then what happens later, it makes a deep impression on his mind. And later on, when he bicycles, he's on a cycle to way to his home, that time it was pouring heavy. That time rain was pouring very heavily. And Erich, Erich does this thing to himself, and he says like he experiments on this, and he says that to himself that he is one with this rain, and when he comes back home, he's not at all wet. So he didn't get wet, and Gaimai was very surprised to see that he couldn't he didn't get wet in heavy rain. So he says you have to feel that oneness with everything, and then nothing will affect you. That's like the power of love. And I was very curious to know how do you do that? Like how do you really put it into practice? It's just a thought, or how could he do that? It's like he said that he was one with this rain, and then he didn't get wet. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, beautiful. And no, I'm glad to hear that. I had never heard that.
Yeah, I never heard that. When did that happen, Ganesh? In his younger years?
That happened in his college days.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That's intense. Wow, bro.
I mean, I think only a consciousness that's highly developed can possibly do that. Because what if there's a guy with a knife to your throat and you then feel one with them? Will that render him hopeless and helpless? Theoretically, yes. But do we have the consciousness to be able to do that? And the strength and the courage to be one with a criminal with a knife to our throat, theoretically?
Well, people have yelled out Baba's name.
I know that.
And Baba's name certainly has neutralized some dangerous situations.
I remember one incident in Chicago. I had dropped off a guest, a Sahavas guest, at his hotel, and I was driving home. And it was late at night, hardly any cars, no cars hardly in sight. And I made a left turn to get on the freeway, and this car came barreling at me, literally it was absolutely certain that he was going to run into me, and he didn't. And it was just like, wait a minute, what happened? Like Baba changed, like they created a warp in space-time. And I was on the other side of what could have been.
A horrendous accident.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. And you probably yelled out Baba's name, I'm sure.
Well, I was with Baba. It was like I was, driving home from a gorgeous Sahavas, and I was just really in Baba. There was no repeating his name because it was Baba all over in the car. It was, I knew it was him, his hand that saved me. Or one of his agents, whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of stories like that. Yeah.
An old Baba lover that brought home a very, I felt, invaluable truth. And that is, say, if you have cleaned out of your system the impulse to hurt someone physically, you've kind of cleaned that out of your system, then no one will touch you. Because the only reason someone would hurt you physically is that you've still got it in you. Meaning how can I say?
You said it. It makes sense.
Yeah, so like when I was in college, I would go over to in Harlem, which is a dangerous place to go in there, but I always felt safe. And I think it was because I wasn't going to hurt anybody. I didn't have it in me to hurt someone physically. And so the universe is no what can I say, no reason for me to get hurt because I've already got the lesson. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, this is so esoteric.
If you clean out like that, you're not going to steal anything from anybody. You've taken that in, you've cleared out the impulse to steal things from others. Then, you protect yourself from having things stolen that you wish weren't stolen. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Huh?
Totally.
It's a very interesting truth because someone will worry about they're going to get hurt. But if they don't have it in them to hurt anybody, the universe is not going to have them get hurt. And so they can get rid of the worry about it because they don't have, there's no karmic reason to be hurt. I mean, I'm just saying that, but it needs to be thought of at a deeper level.
So let's say you hurt someone in a past life, that impression is still there. And until and unless that impression is wiped out, whether it's by its opposite or through self-effort or through grace,
yeah,
that impression is wiped clean, then you no longer have to repeat that experience.
Yeah.
Makes
And
sense.
that's where you can, if you can clear it out of your system through remorse, through asking for forgiveness, you can get rid of those sanskars, that complex of sanskars, then you don't have to get the karmic due. I'll give you an example. I mean, this is, I've mentioned this before, but Aloba, Baba had given him something to do, and he didn't do it properly. Or he may have neglected to do it. But he knew that Baba was going to hammer him the next day for not carrying out Baba's instructions properly. So what he did, he told me this, what he did is he prayed to Baba and asked for forgiveness all evening long for having disobeyed but not carried out Baba's instructions. And he went on with it. And the next day when he got together with Baba and the Mandali, Baba didn't say, bring it up at all. Because he got it out of his system. He got the forgiveness from Baba, so Baba didn't have to bring it up the next day. Does that make any sense?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I thought that, and that's kind of the same thing. We can, by feeling remorse, we can clear out some
Can
of the
we also feel remorse for things that we don't remember having done or have done unintentionally, or you know what I'm saying? Like, can we truly feel remorse, or do we have to actually bring it up to consciousness and then?
Yeah. I personally think you have to feel it deeply.
Yeah.
And then bring it before Baba. Yeah. Well, Mayor Prasad, any flashes from the eternal?
No, Darwin Shah said that, when they were around Baba, the consciousness expanded.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of what Fereshtia was saying about the criminal and the oneness. I think the reverse would happen. The criminal's consciousness would expand, and instead of you feeling helpless and hopeless with the criminal, I think the criminal's consciousness would expand, and that thought of putting the knife to your throat will go away. That's what I would.
Yeah, I'm sure things like that happen. I mean, the inner dynamic of it all.
There is a story on that about Ravana and Rama that I remember. It's kind of related, but not exactly the same. Ravana had this. You know about Ravana, right? He was So he abducted Sita Devi, and he had this ability to change into anything that he wanted. So he basically, the way he abducted Sita was, he turned into a golden deer, and she wanted to get that, and Rama was away, and then he turned back into a kind of a saint, and then wanted to a mendicant, and wanted to get alms from Sita, and then that's how he took her away. So he had this curse that he cannot touch any woman without their consent. And he wanted to marry Sita Devi, and he always would daily go and pester her to marry him, and she would refuse, of course. So he did this day after day after day, and his wife, her name was Mandodari, and one day she asked him, you have this ability to change into anything you want, so why don't you just change yourself into Rama and then go marry her? That's so simple. And he tells her that, you think that thought did not occur to me? I tried that, and as soon as I changed my body into Rama, all thoughts of lustfulness and everything just went away. And I had no desire to go and ask her to marry.
Beautiful. Wow.
That is very powerful. Yeah.
That's an awesome story.
Beautiful. Wow. Fantastic. Verste, I missed your Hafiz poem because every once in a while my computer just goes on the fritz.
Oh,
And by the time I got to the end, I got maybe the last 2 lines.
okay. Would you like me to read that one again?
Yeah, or did you do a translation of that one on enough or sufficient?
I was hoping you wouldn't ask until I get it done.
Okay, yeah, you finish it.
Yeah. Yeah, today was busy. I was helping someone with their play script, which was a lot of fun. We inserted some Hafez lines in there and translations and so on. For the upcoming play that Joe is going to be doing about Shirin Mai. It's quite awesome. All right, so do you remember kind of the lines from it? I can't. I can just go back to Word and see what the last document open was.
Oh, you mean the one that you read tonight?
Tonight, right?
Yeah. Darn it.
Yeah. It was for Kitty.
Yeah. Shoot. It's not coming to me. You on one of your guzzles, you translated it as accretion from a pen.
Oh, right. That was the one.
That's a different one. That's a different one.
Is it?
Yeah. But I was thinking of outpouring of a pen, just because people might not know accretion.
Secretion.
Outpouring of your pen or whatever. Anyway.
It's actually tarasho is exactly, you know how something oozes out of something, like if it's within something, but it kind of oozes out through osmosis or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
It's that. So I translated as secretion.
Uh-huh.
But, I'm open, sort of.
Or oozes out. Oozes out.
Yeah, oozes out is good.
Or, yeah, I guess I guess you'd have to think about that, that the visual aspect of it.
Yes. Oh gosh, it's not coming up for some reason. Why is it not coming up?
But it wasn't that poem.
No.
That was last night, I think, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go. I think I might go to bed a little bit earlier today, but let's end with Hafiz. Unless anybody had any, Ganesh, any burning questions or any stories or?
Not really anything this thing. So that was just one thing out of curiosity. That was something different, not really, but the intelligence of humans, does it grow from lifetime to lifetime, or is it like oscillating?
You mean whether, well, your IQ can vary from lifetime to lifetime for sure. But there is a growing intelligence, but it's more on a spiritual level. It's not the intellect. I mean, you might have an intellect that functions pretty well one lifetime, and the next lifetime it doesn't function very well. Like a must, whose intellect is pretty much shattered in their devotion, their burning devotion for the divine. But there is an intelligence that's the head and the heart, the balance of the head and the heart. That intelligence is linked up, my understanding is linked up with working hand in hand with the heart. And that to me only goes on increasing.
The way I heard, Jeff, is that I think this was from Mani, is that knowledge grows every lifetime.
Yeah.
But your access to that is not really there every lifetime. So some lifetimes you may be, a dumb, not really smart person.
Yeah.
Lifetimes you may be smart. And she said this in the context of her father. I'm sure you heard this, but he had no formal education, Shariaji, but he would recite so many Hafiz poems and a lot of Persian ghazals and couplets, and he would quote them from left and right everywhere. And one day, I think somebody asked him on how come he can do all that without any real education. And apparently he said that it's all there. It's just, there is just a veil on that. And once you remove that veil, you can access all of that. And that's what happened to him.
Yeah. In fact, Mani was the one that asked him, because she said he could speak Greek, he could speak, all these different languages. And, she said to her father that you never studied any of that. And that's when he said, somehow a veil can be removed and you know all of that. Kind of beautiful.
And she said that she clarified that it's not the veils on the subtle veils, mental world, and all that. He said that she said that it's a veil around knowledge.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Ghazal 7 popped up for you.
Okay.
Last night, our peer left the mosque and approached the tavern. Oh, friends of Tariqat, what are we to do after this? How can we, his followers, face the Kaaba for worship? How, when our murshid is heading toward the house of intoxication? We will also be accomplices in the ruins of Moran, exclusive religion, practiced at that time, when Islam was saying we are it. We will also be accomplices in the ruins of Moran. This has been our destiny from the beginning of time. If intellect finds out how happy the heart is in the binding of his hair, the intellectuals will go mad in pursuit of our chains. Your beautiful face was a holy revelation on compassion for us. Because of this, there has been nothing but kindness and compassion in our renderings of scripture. Will our fiery sighs and the burning heat of our nightly moans have an effect on your cold stone heart? The bird of love was captured by the gathered crowd, but our prey fled away as soon as you unleashed your locks. The wind blew your hair and the world turned dark for me. There is nothing more than desire for your hair in my lot. The arrow of our sigh will traverse the skies. Be silent, O soul. The arrow of our sigh will traverse the skies. Be silent, O soul. Have mercy on yourself and avoid our arrow. I will become a dweller at the door of the tavern like Hafez, since our tariqat, Morshed, became a friend of ruination.
Wow. Now, did you say tariqat?
Yes, tariqat is the religion.
Inner path.
Yes, the
Marifat is the
Marifat is knowledge or gnosis. Tariqat is inner path. You're right, isn't it?
yeah. I've heard it described that the Marifat are like a highway that has the route is marked.
Yeah.
That's the religious rituals and ceremonies.
Mhm.
Tariqat is like the way through a desert. And there are no markers. You have to go with a guide, someone who knows how to traverse through this desert. Because there's almost no landmarks, no milestones.
Kind of like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So he's saying, oh, friends of Tariqat, what are we to do when our master himself is heading toward the house of intoxication? He's given up everything, even the inner path.
It could be, which is interesting. In other words, instead of traveling, you're going to just sit and get drunk. No need to go on any path.
Yeah.
You just kind of dissolve in place, so to speak.
How can we go to the Kaaba, which is really the religious practices, when our Murshid is himself heading toward the tavern? Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, Baba had somebody who wanted to go to the Kaaba. You say Kaaba, huh? Not Kaaba, but Kaaba.
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 In
Kaaba.
Farsi, it's Kaaba. In Arabic, it's, God knows, Kaaba.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I often heard. Kaaba is what
Kaaba.
we...
Yeah.
But someone wanted to go do the Hajj, and Baba had them walk around him a few times, and I guess he said, "Okay, you've done it.
Wow.
You've taken the Hajj."
Say that again?
Someone approached Baba and wanted to go to the Kaaba to take the journey, the pilgrimage to Mecca.
Mm-hmm.
And Baba said, go around him himself, where Baba was seated, go around him a few times.
In Indian mythology, Jeff, there is a similar story. I don't exactly recall again the details, but what happens is there is Lord Ganesh and there is somebody, his brother, who's called Subramanya Swami, I think. And once there is some sort of contest that is that is being held, and wherein this, I mean, the challenge was that you go around the whole universe and come back to me so many number of times, 3 times or something like that. And Ganesh being the heavier one with the bulky body and all that stuff, the Lord Ganesh, right? And he felt he feels a little not capable of doing that. And but the other gentleman, his brother Subramanya Swami, he has what you call a vehicle, sort of, in the sense this is a bird. I mean, what is that? Peacock, which can take him around the whole world, and then he can circumvent and then fulfill that challenge. And he goes around doing that. And meanwhile, Lord Ganesh is very worried that he cannot do it because of his bulky body and all that stuff. And then suddenly he remembers, and then what he does is to just take 3 rounds around Lord Shiva. And that finishes, the challenge. And that's what happens. And it's exactly like what Baba said to this gentleman: take 3 rounds around me and you're done. You've seen all the sacred places. Oh, the challenge was actually go to all the sacred places in the world. And whereas one gentleman has this capacity to do that because of the vehicle that he has, whereas Lord Ganesh doesn't have. So what he does is to take a circle around his parents, who are Lord Shiva and Parvati. And that's it. He has done it.
Yeah.
Only that, Prakash, he says,
Yeah.
Lord Shiva says, repeat the name of Lord Narayana.
Right.
Once
Oh, okay.
the name of Narayana, that will indicate you are traveling all some crores of the Punyakshatras and all that. That is meant for the giving a Vijnadipati, means give the, what you call Vijnadipati, means I can't get it. That is installing him as a head of something. For that purpose, he says, you know that I'm incapable of doing things. But still Lord Shiva says, take the name of Narayana and take 1 circle of me, that 3 circles around the Lord Shiva and Parvati, so that it amounts to that. Wherever the Maitreya or Subramanya goes, he found that his elder brother already done his pilgrimage there. So once the importance of this name of repeating his name and also taking the circle, that suffices, and that gives the Subramanya found that he feels bad, and then he comes and repents before the Lord Shiva, says, I didn't understood the mahima of his elder brother, who has done wherever he went. He found he was going, he was entering, but whereas Lord Vinayaka was existing.
Yeah, Ganesha was leaving. Yes.
Yeah, leaving. That was the story.
Beautiful. I mean, so many parallels. Yeah.
Hey, well, I'm going to take off. Let's see. Nasreen, are you there?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay, we're gonna, I guess, close the shop.
Sure.
Some of us. Marge, are you there? I guess, or Dinesh?
What did it? Will you say it again?
We're thinking of. Well, I mean, I'm gonna try to get to bed a little bit earlier tonight.
Sure.
You know, and Diku, that's nice. Always to see you.
Yes, thank
Seattle
you.
is
And
represented.
when are you coming
Go ahead.
back on, Jeff?
I probably, I don't know if I'll be here tomorrow. I'm in the center and there's no Wi-Fi in the center. I might possibly, I'll see. Sometimes I come up here late night. You know, this is at the front
So
gate.
is it like you'll be coming on to tomorrow or Monday, or like?
Monday.
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 Okay.
So your Monday
Thank you.
is my Tuesday morning.
Yeah, that's right, Ganesh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff, I have a question on something you said, I think 2 days back. You talked something about loving wisdom. There is something behind loving wisdom. Can you repeat that?
Well, one of the burning questions I had with Baba when I got into him back in the 60s, and I kept it before Baba day after day. I mean, it was always there. Is there a loving wisdom behind everything that happens? Meaning behind the good, bad, and ugly, is there a loving wisdom behind it all? I had to know that, not just intellectually, not even just intuitively, but to know it experientially. I mean, I knew it intuitively. There's somehow there's a loving wisdom behind everything that happens. But it took, I would say, about 30 years for Baba to bring that truth to me. And it didn't come from having love showered on me from the Mandali and so many people. It came from great negativity, mean-spirited treatment directed toward me. I mean, and unkind and cruel things.
Mm-hmm.
It caused me to go much deeper than receiving love. and the last nasty thing that happened to me is the thing that sprung me into that realization. So, I mean, who would have thought? But they say it's the sand in the oyster shell that produces the pearl. So negativity, I mean, I'm not saying that that's the only way, but that's what happened to me. The meanness that was directed toward me drove me deeper and deeper until I got to the underside of it all, and I found that there's a loving wisdom behind everything. From it, so that so that you're kind of at peace at the innermost level. Everything is everything. I mean, just to speak of it kind of superficially, everything is growth. You can't get rid of winter out of the seasons. Winter, if you take winter out of the seasons, you upset the balance of nature. It has a place. But I, like I say, I knew I had to get it experientially and not just,
Theoretically.
or even intuitively. I mean, I've found that I know things intuitively decades before I know it experientially. You can know that that
Yeah.
there's truth in being generous, but to be generous is to be generous is entirely different. There's a Zen line: "He who knows and does not do does not know."
Mm-hmm.
He who knows and does not do does not know. So I could know that it's that the generosity or forgiveness. There's a truth in generosity. It's the best charity, like Baba says. But unless I am a forgiving person, I don't really know. So
Jeff, also, something happened recently that made me realize that a third party who has a loving heart can be a tremendous instrument in opening our eyes to our own effect, unconscious effect on people.
Yeah.
You know, because often we are unaware of what the impact we may have, positive, negative, whatever, on others. But a third party objectively can mirror our behavior and to us, and then we can see it more clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes little children will just blurt out something. Why do you frown all the time?
Yeah.
You know, they'll give you some feedback that can be invaluable.
Well, my son tells me all the time you're zoned out. He says, "Dad, are you listening to me or are you zoned out?" And I said, "Well, I'm zoned out at this time."
Yeah. Oh,
Very good, Jeff. Thank you. We
Okay,
need to let you get some rest.
let's go to
Yeah.
the
Jai Baba.
Thank you,
Beyond
Jeff.
Beyond.
Jai Meher Baba, Jeff.
Jai Baba,
There's
Jeff.
John.
Thank
Much
you
love.
so much.
Jai Meher Baba.
Screen.
Jeff.
Dinesh.
Thank you for your invaluable inputs.
Yeah. Thank you for the company. I mean, this is, you know, one of the things that Baba said is one of the high roads to surrendering to God is to be in the company of lovers of God and render them wholehearted service. But, you know, to be in the company of lovers of God, and that's, otherwise, if I was, you know, at a real bar across the street, I would be going to sleep in a much worse state. Terrible state. So this keeps everything keeps the heart.
But I have to tell you, these late nights do have their effect. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes
they do.
I wake up at 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. with some very deep revelations or a very significant dream. So they are post Jeff Wolverton late night coffee.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's Baba. I mean, it's like if you meet together like this, Baba kind of sprinkles things in here.
Well, it seems like he's waiting an opportunity and an opening to do his surgery, and he's doing a fine job.
Yeah, no.
Thank you,
Well,
Baba.
people, wonderful, and see you all.
Yes.
Baba.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Meher Baba. Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you.
Thank you. Jai Meher Baba.
Have a great